welcome once again to Retirement Designed Differently with Billy Voyles. He's a financial advisor and the founder of Fundamental Wealth Designs right here in Minnesota. I'm your host, Spike Spengel. Mr. Billy Voyles, what's on your mind this week, my friend?
Well, it's an old Minnesota tradition. Goes back to the Grumpy Old Men movie. Ice fishing is on my mind, believe it or not.
Wait a second, we're talking about retirement designed differently. Ice fishing, but do me a favor. I mean, you can maybe guess by looking at me. Sell me on ice fishing. Can't I do most of what you do ice fishing at home in my own living room?
Oh, of course, because most people that ice fish really are just out there drinking beer in a tent on ice with a heater. But
is this really a couple's activity in retirement?
Oh, no, this is, well, sometimes it's a couple's activity, but more it's just the guys. They go out on the ice. We actually have a cabin up in the Spooner, Wisconsin area, and it's a big ice fishing hub in the middle of our lake. You can see 12 to 20 houses out there in a good year. This has not been a good year for ice fishing, but typical year, see 12 to 20 houses out there. And, that's one of the things that people want to do in retirement is sort of this outdoor activity in Minnesota, whether it's snowmobiling or ice fishing, snowshoeing, whatever it happens to be. We have to, we know as Minnesotans, we have to make hay when the sun shines with or the snow blows, if you will, with our winters that we have. So.
Yeah, so today's show is our income show, Retirement Designed Differently. And the reason we're talking about ice fishing is because, of course, your retirement here is different than it is down in Florida or down in the Carolinas. And maybe that's what you enjoy to do. But no matter what the activity is, whether it's travel, whether it's staying here, whether it's spending more time with the family, it all starts with income. Now, this is an interesting word to me because when I think of income, I think of what I'm getting paid. But income in retirement is obviously not coming from an employer. It's not coming from a paycheck. How do you define income in retirement?
So income in retirement is where are your income sources coming from? Where are you getting the money to pay your bills on a monthly basis? So it usually starts with Social Security. So Social Security is at the core of your income plan in retirement. And we go through a process of figuring out first how to maximize the Social Security benefits coming back to you. So you're sitting out there and you're watching the show today and you have paid into Social Security for 25 or 30 or 40 years. You've paid taxes to get this future benefit. So don't you want to get the most benefit back into your pocket possible out of that Social Security?
Okay, you just opened up a whole can of worms, so we need to go into it. I know you also do it at your live events, but let's talk a little bit about Social Security. Folks, don't change the channel. Whether you're there, whether you've already turned it on, or whether you're considering it, Social Security is something that affects us all. And even some of the basics on it, many millions of Americans get even the basics wrong. So let's start with a little bit going backwards on it, the Social Security, how it started, what it's really meant for, and then I'd like to get it more into ratios, where you're comfortable with Social Security and the income plan, and the hows and whens of turning it on. But let's start with the beginning of Social Security.
Yeah, so let's take it all the way back to 1935. Roosevelt passed a law which created Social Security, which was never intended to be taxed as well, and we'll get into that. But in 1935, full retirement age was age 65. Life expectancy was around 67. So lucky you out there. You can work for 40 to 45 years and pay into the system all these taxes, and then you get 2 years worth of paychecks and check out. Of course the math worked back then on the experiment that is Social Security. But fast forward to today, and there's a lot of different issues, surrounding Social Security. Is it going to be, what it was meant to be? Not quite.
Twice in the speech where Roosevelt had rolled this out in 1935, he said the word supplemental. Social Security will be meant for Americans to have supplemental income to their own savings. It was never meant to be the end-all, be-all. It was never meant to be 80, 100% of your income. For those Americans who are struggling with that, we understand, but it was always meant to be supplemental to your income. But then something changed as well. I believe it was during the 80s. And then also tell me about the great rollout here in Minnesota. But Social Security was never also meant to be taxable, was it?
No, it wasn't meant to be taxed. But now all of a sudden our debt started creeping up and the government needed to raise revenue, so all of a sudden now it's taxed. We did just pass a law in the state of Minnesota where state income tax now has got some relief on your Social Security income. So that's a great fact. If you want more information on that, feel free to give us a call. We'll explain the taxation and the changes to the Minnesota Social Security tax. That's 888-379-1846. If you're looking for more details on how those taxes changed for your Social Security in the state of Minnesota, give us a call. Just schedule a quick call. We'll walk through it with you and help you out and take care of that part for you.
Right, and I'm so glad that you offer that, because there's a lot of different kinds of firms out there and different kinds of financial advisors, and you're friends with financial advisors all around the country, but not a lot of folks like to talk about the Social Security. There isn't anything necessarily that you get from it. You just want to make sure that people are informed. And here's the thing, I've heard you say before, this is like $1 million, sometimes $1.5 million decision that people make usually on this. What do you mean $1 million decision?
Absolutely. If you total up your Social Security payments over your life expectancy, it might mean $1 million for you as an individual. It certainly probably means at least $1 million for you and your spouse. So if you had $1 million in your pocket, would you just make a willy-nilly decision on when to spend it? No, you would go through a process of figuring out what is the absolute best way to use that $1 million asset. And Social Security for a lot of people could be $1 million asset in retirement. So don't take the decision lightly. And if your current advisor has not advised you on when is the best time to take Social Security, or if you go to them and their only answer is just wait till 70, then maybe it is time to go out and seek a second opinion and get some different advice, a different perspective, perhaps a different design on what your retirement looks like. Because that is what we do when we talk about being holistic and covering all the bases. We talk about Social Security maximization as part of the income plan. Then we dive into the taxes and trying to minimize the amount of taxes you pay over the rest of your life. Then we talk about your investments for growth and the legacy you're going to leave behind. And if your current advisors aren't doing this for you, it's probably time to go out and seek a second opinion. And one of the things we see is that some folks have been with their advisor for 10 or 15 or 20 years, and they're putting the loyalty to their current advisor over the success of the plan, which really puts their retirement at risks, and all for what? So please give us a call today, 888-379-1846. If you're looking for that second opinion, you may be working with a current advisor, but they just aren't talking about all the stuff we talk about on the show. Give us a call, schedule an appointment with us. We'd be happy to sit down with you and walk you through your second opinion. You can get your own retirement design by calling the phone number that Billy just said down there on the bottom of the screen. Getting a second opinion is the same thing that you do when you get a diagnosis from a doctor. We get second opinions when we're looking for different automobiles. You might even get second opinions when you're looking at what home to buy. Why not do that with your own financial plan? And by the way, if you're doing great, we'll pat you on the back, give you a thumbs up, say keep doing that. Give us a call if you ever have any other questions. Maybe your financial advisor, your financial team that you're working with has put together a good design for you. But it doesn't cost you anything to find out if there is something that we can do to help improve it. And that's one of the things that Billy says all the time. There's two reasons why he works with you. Number one, if there's something he can do to help you. And number two, if we like each other. So let's see if we can put together a retirement design for you. Call and get your own second opinion. In fact, listen to the following message about what a second opinion means here from Billy Voyles. More retirement design differently right after this.
When was the last time you saw your financial professional? Are you getting the most out of the strategy that was created for you? Although you've done a great job finding someone to help plan for your future, are you 100% sure that you were given the right strategy? We can help answer these questions and more with a complimentary second opinion evaluation. We will take a look at what you have in place and then help determine if you're well positioned to get the most out of your future retirement income. In the event that it is not, we can help by making suggestions and showing you how to get on the right path. You wouldn't get just one opinion when it comes to a major health decision, so why would you treat your most important financial decision with such disregard? Call today for your no-cost, no-obligation second opinion evaluation to see if you're getting the most out of your retirement income plan.
Welcome back to Retirement Designed Differently with Billy Voyles. You can get your own second opinion by calling the phone number when you see that come up here on the screen, or you can even use the QR code. I'm your host, Spike Spengel. We're talking about the income show today. How do you create income in retirement? And that's creating that income after you no longer have an income. Okay, we're using the same word to define the same thing.
Yeah.
So your paycheck, that's one kind of income. The other kind of income in retirement is drawing down from your accounts and or your Social Security. Maybe you have tools like an annuity. Maybe you have rental property income. All of those that we pull together to create our monthly income. Big question for you here, Billy. Roll the drums there in the studio for me, okay? I wanted the drum. Do I take my Social Security at 62, full retirement age, or age of 70? Which is best?
Ooh, which is best? And of course, it depends. It depends on a few different things, but let's walk through 62. So if you're going to retire or you want to take Social Security at age 62, just a few things to be aware of. You will get as much as a 30% reduction from your full retirement age. So just know that. Know that you're going to get less by taking it early. The one thing we really want to sort of protect against, or just at least educate on, is that if you are still working before full retirement age, there's a means test that if you make above a certain number, which happens to be around $23,000, if you make above $23,000, for every $2 you make above that, they will actually take back $1 of your Social Security. So for those out there, it's a big sort of red flag. Most likely don't take Social Security early if you're still working. So that's the rule on 62.
The reason Billy is stumbling there is we have to be careful about absolutes. It may work out in your best interest. Sometimes you might need to turn it on. The reason we're talking about the 62, it's not just that, let's say you've accumulated $2 million, you're going to get a pension plan, you know that you're set. There's more Americans today turning on their Social Security at age 62 than there ever has been before. And I think part of the fear is the reports they're actually getting from SSA.gov. What is that thing that they're saying about a reduction on their own statements?
Yeah, and on your statement, it actually highlights the fact that if Congress does nothing, that in 2034, you could experience as much as a 20% reduction in your Social Security. So they're sort of setting the table for a massive, massive decrease in Social Security 2034 and beyond. Now, am I in the camp that that's for sure to happen? I don't necessarily think so, because if they don't make changes to that, you know, we're going to be pretty upset with those people in Washington. We probably won't vote for them. And all they want is for us to vote for them. That's what they want the most, right? So I think, and what I say is my opinion is, I think Social Security is simply going to underperform inflation for the next 20 or 30 years. But if it does that, that creates a drag on our purchasing power over the next 20 and 30 years retirement. And we need the income plan to be prepared for that. We need the income plan to be prepared for those times where, you know, things are you get to throw a wrench in your retirement. We need a plan, and we need to adjust that plan for it in the future.
Right. And I want to go back to that real quick, because you say if we turn it on earlier, if we turn it on before our full retirement age, and if we make a certain amount of income, I think this income hasn't been adjusted since, I think it was either 1970s or 1980s. It's something like, as a couple, over $44,000 or something like that. If you make more than that, you're giving back. And so singularly, somewhere around the 20s. So if you're still working, I'm guessing that you're probably making more than that. So turning it on to think that you're building up your savings bucket, it's not actually happening. You're giving it back to Social Security.
Absolutely. So we warn against that. But at full retirement age, know that there are no restrictions to your income. So if you're still working and you're 67 and you want to take a look at does taking Social Security make sense to you now, that's a different discussion. So we don't have the means testing. You can make as much money as you want and it doesn't affect your Social Security. So is it the right thing to do? We don't know until we take a closer look at your particular situation. But a lot of times we're having people take Social Security before the age of 70. And it's actually better now than it was 4 years ago. And do you want to know why?
Yes, I do. What do you mean it's better now?
Do you viewers want to know why? So 4 or 5 years ago, if you were to take Social Security early and go invest that money, say in a bank CD, you would have got 0.5% maybe from that bank CD. But nowadays, you can go out and get 5% from a bank CD. You can go to the fixed income market and get significantly higher interest rates. So the yield you can earn investing those Social Security benefits, if that's the strategy, is significantly higher. So it actually makes less sense to delay. But you want to know why I help people take Social Security earlier more often than not? It's because you want to. And if you want to take Social Security because you've paid into it for 40 or 45 years, and you just want a strategy that includes taking Social Security as soon as possible, then give us a call and let's try to figure out if that's the right plan for you.
Right, and no offense to the Social Security Administration, but they're not allowed to give complete financial planning advice. They're not going to sit down and take a look at the rest of your investments, necessarily your age, life insurance, what's your lifestyle and how you want to live. So if you call Social Security and say, I'd like to figure out, should I turn on my Social Security, they'll show you how, but you try to figure out when exactly is the right time. Another thing I want to say, though, there's a lot of different seminars. You'll get these cards and mailers, maybe even email and so forth about Social Security maximization. Is there really much you can do to maximize besides letting it grow? What is the Social Security maximization? Because you talk about it as a report. What is yours?
So our report, we do find out, and we run a Social Security maximization report, which gives us all the details we need to know about your particular situation with Social Security. But that has to be incorporated and worked with inside your income and tax plan. Because a lot of what we deal with is you have a big IRA and you're figuring out, all right, when do I take my Social Security? When do I start tapping into my IRA or 401k? And this comes with tax consequences and consequences for the longevity of your plan. So it all needs to work together and it needs to make sense, right? It's kind of like putting together a symphony. There's a lot of different moving parts to it, and you need to have all the players sort of playing to the same beat of the drum when creating these plans. So that's what we work to do. And Social Security is just the start of the plans we create.
And there was something else I've heard you say, look, if you're the main breadwinner, if you're the one who has the highest 40 credits, and possibly if our spouse is going to be taking the spousal benefit, that's half of what we are. Again, the sooner you take it, you're locking in a lower amount for your spouse as well, for as long. Because we had talked on a different show, you had a couple who came in who was the exact same age, but does everybody who come in, are they exactly the same age at your office?
Yeah. Are you the same age as your spouse? You know, it's probability that you're not. You're either a year, or 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it may be. But that is one thing that you mentioned. So the spousal benefit. So we had a lady come to our workshop, and she was turning 70. And one, she didn't know she had to actually physically turn it on at 70. So know that you actually have to call them and turn it on. They're not just going to start sending you checks. So age 70 is the last age that you can, should, and will take Social Security at, but you have to actually physically file. But she filed as an individual. And after we met with them and we went through their scenario, we found out that she should have actually filed for the spousal benefit. And we found her an extra $400 a month for the rest of her life for that spousal benefit, which was tremendous for us to be able to add that value back into their retirement plan. And she never would have known it had she not take the time to come in to see us.
All of these things can be so complicated, and we say this a lot. You don't know what you don't know, and that's why you want to work with a professional who does retirement planning strategies every single day, whether it's your Social Security, your investment risk, how and when to do estate planning, tax efficiency, keeping more of your own money in retirement, all those health care decisions down the road, Medicare and long-term care. It already might sound overwhelming, but that's what your retirement design is, and that's what Billy Voyles, financial advisor, can do for you. You can claim your own no-cost retirement design very simply by calling the phone number right down here on the bottom of your screen. That's going to go to our secure call center. We have people standing by right now. Schedule your appointment so you can come in with Billy. More of retirement design differently here in Minnesota with Billy Voyles right after this.
changing from now being an entrepreneur and running our own business and working with clients, it's challenging, but that's what makes it fun, right? If you woke up and did the same exact thing every day, made a widget, and then the next day you make another widget, and the next day you make another widget, you know, this really, every day is a new day. And every client, all their plans are going to be different. They're going to be designed specifically for them, because you can't create a cookie cutter plan today that's going to fit everybody. That's not how it works. In order for it to be the best, it has to be tailored specifically to them. Meeting with people is fantastic. We love doing events. We do events all over the Twin Cities. I love speaking in front of people and educating, providing people education for their retirements. I enjoy putting the plans together and knowing that it'll set them on the right path that they need to be on for retirement.
Welcome back to Retirement Designed Differently with financial advisor Billy Voyles. He's the founder of Fundamental Wealth Designs right here in Minnesota. I'm your host, Spike Spengel. This is our favorite segment, You Might Need a Financial Advisor If.
Yes.
So today it's You Might Need a Financial Advisor if you don't know what you're going to spend in retirement. I imagine I'm going to spend all my life savings. What do you mean if you don't know what you're going to spend? How do you determine that for somebody?
That's what my parents say. They're gonna cash their last check on the way to the grave, right? And I fully encourage, you know, plans like that where you've taken care of your kids. You know, a lot of times people walk into the office and their kids are better off than they are, and they're just like, I ain't giving them a dime. I'm spending all of this money. And hey, let's create a plan then to sort of, you know, have you spend your money, you know, throughout your retirement. But we just also want to make sure it lasts the rest of your life. So we need to have that in consideration.
Okay, so this starts the question for me of the chicken or the egg. We were talking a lot about Social Security. That's definitely one of the income sources. Then we've got our investments. If you are lucky enough to have a pension from one of the organizations or state organizations or municipalities, that's wonderful. But even going from the ages of 62 or full retirement age or 70 of Social Security, I want to start very simply. Which should I turn on first for income? Social Security, or do I take from my investments? So if I take from Social Security, I can let the investments grow. Or if I take from my investments first, I can let Social Security grow up until the age of 70. Do you have a preference?
We don't have a preference. We lean towards making sure that you're at full retirement age. That is a benefit, and it's a benefit because it does it's right at that sweet spot, right, where turning on Social Security supplements the incomes we need for retirement. But every plan truly is different, and we have to design a plan specifically for you because your desires are different, your budgets are different, the amount of money you've saved is different. The taxability of those accounts. Are they tax deferred, tax free, taxable accounts? We don't know that. So we have to be able to know and understand what is in your portfolio, which is part of our analysis piece of this. We dive deep to figure out where are things at? Where are those sources that we can generate income from? And that helps us determine inside the income plan, is Social Security first or is Social Security second? When determining our income, you've also mentioned something about the first cliff of retirement. This doesn't sound good. What is the cliff that you're so worried about? Well, there are two things that are certain in life: death and taxes. So unfortunately, and this is one thing that, again, we may be different. We talk about the what ifs in retirement. What if things don't go well? What's going to happen to you in your retirement if things don't go well? And this really comes from, you know, my experience with my parents. So in 2019, my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And so my parents' retirement is really nothing like they thought it was going to be. They dreamed of, you know, European vacations and cruises and traveling all over the world, and it's simply not in the cards for them. And one of the things that we have to prepare inside their plan and others is the death of the first spouse. So at the death of the first spouse, you're going to lose the lower of the two Social Security payments. Well, if the lower of the two Social Security payments is $2,000 a month, $2,500 a month, $3,000 a month, you all of a sudden, that first cliff, you're going to lose $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 of income just like that. And is your plan prepared to have supplemental income sort of pick up where that Social Security drops off? I had clients the other day who actually had a pension that they took full the solo benefit, so they didn't have a survivor benefit, and their Social Security. So now they doubled up on that cliff because they're going to lose the pension payment and they're going to lose the Social Security payment. So if you're out there and you're wondering sort of what this cliff means to you, you know, a great reason to, you know, talk with an advisor about building that within your plan.
Right. That, yeah, that's the hard cliff, right? Somebody passing away, and a lot of folks might think, well, in that situation, when or if that happens, I mean, it would be wonderful if we all go out together holding hands with our spouse at the age of 102. But it didn't happen with my grandparents. My one grandmother was out, my grandfather, for almost 25 years. So there was a difference in income. And here's the thing. You don't necessarily spend that much less when that spouse passes away. You might still have all of those home costs. Of course, you're still going to eat and maybe travel and of course be with the family and friends. So there's not as much of a huge spending drop-off as we might think. So do you do this through tools? Do you do this through things like annuities that provide that guaranteed income? Or is it more through investment choices of the 401ks? How do you help people, I guess, parachute off that cliff safely?
Yeah, it depends on each person's situation. We do use annuities because they're guaranteed solutions in order to make up for supplemental income, but they're not right for everybody. We sometimes use investments and dividend portfolios and other strategies that provide other forms of income back to it. But it just needs to be addressed, and it needs to have some thought inside the plan of, if this happens, then where are we going to go next to sort of start generating that income we need? And it needs to be thought through because, again, it's an uncomfortable conversation, but it's better to have the uncomfortable conversation now and then have that built within the plan than to have it happen and then all of a sudden we're scrambling because we haven't thought through what that means.
Right. And then also just to say that during those times of crisis, if you do have a financial advisor who's gone through all of these steps for you, you don't have to be scrambling. You can say, well, what do I do next? And you've got a professional in your corner. I'm sure it's tough to get those phone calls, and your story, it's real, it's yours, it's your family. So glad to know that they've got you to be able to help with those solutions, but there's a lot of families out there who don't, and that's exactly what they can get when they call the phone number, be able to talk to you, put these plans together.
Absolutely. So, you know, it's an odd offer to have you come in and have uncomfortable conversations with you, but if you're serious about having a plan that not only approaches retirement if everything goes well, but also approaches retirement for the what ifs, for the what if things go wrong. If you really want a plan that's going to cover all the bases and make sure it covers all the risks in retirement, call us today, 888-379-1846. We have people standing by to answer those calls for you and set the appointment. Thanks very much.
Let us help you put together your own retirement design. You can do that by calling the phone number at the bottom of the screen or use that QR code with your phone. Click on that. You can schedule your own appointment. Thank you so very much for watching. We'll help you retirement design for you and your family.